Alright, it's been a while since I made a video. Not sure what I did in my last video. But I am doing another orchid video, and this time I'm doing one on my orchids that go dormant and what I do with them. And I have an assortment here of mainly Catasetinae orchids. But I got a couple of more little odds and ends. But yeah, most of the ones I have here are in the Catasetinae group. Like, for instance, this Catasetum planiceps, which started losing its leaves about, I don't know, late last month. Just the week before Christmas, so it's got a couple of leaves on it. But as far as the roots go, the roots are no longer active. These roots are dead. So what I do with my Catasetums, let's see if I can do this with the camera going away, is just cut these dead roots, trim them off. You want to do it with clean scissors, even though the roots are dead. It's still good practice to use very clean scissors whenever you're cutting orchids, because you don't want to risk spreading a virus. You can see the old flower stem there. That's pretty much what I do with this. Now, this is this year's bulb. As you can see, it's a lot plumper than these two. There was another bulb on this plant, but I took it off because it was kind of brown on the bottom, looked like it was rotting, kind of like this one. But this one here, it'll be probably the next one. Though I can see where this one might put out a little growth right there. There's a little bump. But anyway, I'm just going to leave these two bulbs on this plant. And this will most likely be the one that will put out the new growth. But sometimes you can get a new growth on one of these back bulbs. And here I have Catasetum viridiflavum. And again, I'm just going to prune these roots off. Just take them all off. Some people like to leave a few on to help anchor it into the pot when they go to repot it, but I'm not. I'm just going to stake these in the pot when I go to pot them up in the spring. And here you can see where the new growth will probably emerge is from that thing, that little nubby right there. You can see the year before flower spike. This was last year's flower spike. Bulb was slightly smaller than this previous year's one, but it's blooming size, even though it didn't look like it would do much. And here is the Galleandra that I had flowering back in the late summer, and it's going dormant also, and I've already split it apart into two plants. And I take these roots off, and you can see how the bulbs, you want your bulbs to stay, or your pseudobulbs to stay firm. You don't want them shriveled up too much. If they get shriveled up a whole lot, you can always spritz them with water, but generally you do not water Catasetinae orchids at all during the winter. So I'm going to trim off these roots on this one, and some of these back bulbs on here, these are no good. I'm not even looking in the camera. I'm doing this So I don't know how good this video is going to come out because I haven't been paying attention. I've been looking through the viewfinder. Okay. So I'm going to take much more off of that. Maybe kind of get all that out of there, the old stuff. And yep, the new growth will emerge, you know, somewhere down here in the bottom. So yeah, you can see how the leaves will turn yellow, indicating that they're dropping. And this is Catasetinae sanguineum. You can see how it's drying out too. The leaves. This one I hadn't even taken out of the pot yet. Some of these roots still look pretty fresh, but they're not. They're dry. Kind of get it off. I'm just gonna pull all the old potting mix, this sphagnum off of here. Those roots are dry. This one's been kind of lazy about going into dormancy. Sometimes you kind of have to. I've been keeping it in low light, lower light, a cooler spot. Pick it out. I'll leave that much on there. And look at this mess I made. Go scrape this into this pot. Next, I have another one, Catasetinae type, but I took it out of the pot to look at the root system. This is the Monnieri, the black magic witchcraft thing, the one that's so popular. Yeah, I did jump on the bandwagon and get one for myself. This was last year's flower stock, and but I've heard people they complain about it not going into dormancy and staying for too long, and that's the case with this one. It just lost its leaves last month, and then this new growth came out, starting to leaf out. So I guess that's just the nature of the beast with this one being a cross between 3 genera. There's probably something in the works there that just causes it to just come right out of dormancy right when it goes into it. So I don't know, mixed signals. I suppose I just continue watering it and start feeding it after the new year once it gets a little bit bigger. Well, probably another, it's like 1.5, 2 inches. Probably give it another 2 inches and start feeding it. And I'll probably will. This is last year's roots for this big growth. I don't know. I think probably going to leave this one alone for a while and see what happens. When this one gets more of a root system on it, this little shoot, I'm gonna probably do something about these. I don't know. This is my first time growing that one. And here I have a Eulophia. This is Eulophia endemonensis, which is not very popular in cultivation. It's still a pretty little orchid, even though the flowers aren't very showy. They're rather small, green and white. But it can put on quite a show if you got several flower stalks that come out at once. This one I leave in the pot. This is a terrestrial orchid. And what I do with this one is I just trim off the rest of these leaves and tidy it up. And kind of get, straighten it out a little bit. This stuff straighten out. Oh, I left a hole there. I'm going to put that back down in there. A piece of bark. Anyway, here are the back bulbs on this one. Kind of shriveled. This is last year's growth right here. Dark spot. It's not mushy or anything. Yeah, this gets very little water in the winter. I do give it some to keep the bulbs from shriveling. The new bulbs here, these 3 bulbs and this bulb is last year's growth. So that's all I do with that one. Trim off the roots. I mean the leaves. The roots coming through there. And that's all she wrote on the Eulophia. And I just put these in a box. And this one stays out. Put them in a box together. Well, got the Eulophia. Catasetinae go in a box because they don't need any water. Kind of lay those in there, and I keep them. Oh, and I forgot one more. This is a Catasetinae alba, a seedling. This one I don't do much with. It's something I'm going to repot it in something a little more substantial than this coca fiber. But this is what Catasetinae alba looks like when it goes dormant. I'm hoping next year the growth will be twice as tall as this year's or last year's growth. Getting confused already. Next year's growth, I'm hoping it will be larger than, or at least twice the size as this year's growth. So, just kind of inspect down. It looks like people kind of took it, left it in sphagnum, and then packed it around. I bought this from somebody in California. I'm just going to peel this off. Look at it. That's just bone dry. I'm going to pull all this fiber off. Yeah, it looks good. No rot, anything. Green. That's that one. Catasetinae alba. Well, that's my video on what I do with my catasetums and other orchids that go dormant. So hopefully when I make another video of these, it'll be in the spring when they're coming out of dormancy, and of course when they go to flower I'll make videos of them, because they are very spectacular in their own way. Happy growing!